All right, what's going on, everybody? We are live here on the weekly walk-off. Every Sunday, we'll be here at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome into the chats. We already see a lot of stuff going on down there. We got a great episode ahead here. We got a recap of the upcoming week. We got 16 and 17 week previews, candy code breakers. We're doing giveaways. I got a nice giveaway on Sorare. And then also special guest, one of the best managers in the game, Clamp One, will be joining us for a little chat, which we're super stoked on. Nate, what's going on? We got Greg out in San Diego watching the game right now, hoping for a Sox comeback. And we got Nate here sitting up there on the podium as it stands, seeing where we can end up on the week. What's going on?
Yeah, man, what's going on? Having a nice game week here. Hopefully decent stack of prizes, but one, like you said, one lineup in particular that's doing real well that we'll look at the top of the show here. So good to be here.
Yeah, man, sounds good. We got a bunch of people in the chat. A couple people's players did not play this week. They forgot to show up. John Riley, sorry, brother. That's happened to me too. DJ Local, best game week yet.
Me too, DJ. Me too.
One of my best game weeks yet, too. Not quite having the week that Nate's having over here that we'll jump into. D-Ops bought a Bregman. Didn't pan out quite yet.
Still a good card to have next week.
Absolutely. Another series against the A's next week. Am I right?
Yep.
There we go. And yeah, so let's take a look into the upcoming game week then, I guess. What'd you guys all watch in baseball this week? I know we had some crazy stuff. I mean, Christopher Morel cannot be stopped. 7 home runs.
And you wanted to sell.
I still kind of do.
I mean, the better he plays, the more intriguing the sell hype becomes.
The floor went up to 28. I think it's at 25 right now. But man, he is so much fun to watch. I kind of want to get him. I want to be greedy and sneak him into one more lineup, man, before I see if we can go. What else happened? Seager's back, obviously, and we'll take a look at that firsthand right here. Back. I'll pull up the screen. Let's go live. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome on in. The giveaway today is one of my streamers for the upcoming game week. He's pitching on Tuesday, Cal Quantrill, for the Guardians. So, all right, let me share this screen right here. Whoops. Should have done this earlier. My bad, guys. All right. Let's take a look at this American League Limited. See where Nate's standing right now. Second place right here, Mr. Slimfish, 277. Just putting up a massive number right here.
The one disappointing piece on that is you guessed it, my relief pitcher.
Of course.
Took a different approach this past week. Bought a handful of guys that are high volume, guys that get high leverage situations, which results in a hold. So looking for, even though kind of decreasing the upside with a 5 points on a hold instead of the 10 points on a save, if you can get those two appearances in a game week, I think is the thing to chase. So Justin Topa got that. He got his 2 appearances, but gave up runs in both, ended up with 4 total points. So he's the one thing holding it back from being a truly huge explosion, but we'll take it.
That's awesome, man. And still obviously a shot at the top place. I mean, the guy ahead of you does not have Devers. So if you could get Devers in there, if you can hold off a Mets and Guardians Sunday night baseball game, then we'll see how it goes. I'm actually hanging on that game. I'm down by 2 runs in my categories fantasy league. I have Lindor and Nimmo. So hopefully we can scratch out 2 runs, get one of those, claw back at one of those points and get the win in that fantasy league. Let me see here. Let's go back to this new.
If you actually want to kick it over to me.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna flex for just a second here.
Flex.
It's hard not to be excited, but everything is just going my way this week, which Last week was the exact opposite, but I'm actually happy to have fallen out of the top 200 in minors. I know we've talked about this in the past. We're getting pretty stacked with commons, but I just want more tier twos. And if people don't know, once you win a limited card in the top 200, you're not allowed to play minors anymore. So trying to stay outside the top 200 there. Common all-star, looking sharp. Limited all-star. Need Verdugo or Duran to do something for that to be anything more than a T4, T5, but limited pro in a decent spot. Probably not going to hold on to the top 100, but looking at a tier 3 there, you just showed the American League, and then National League was kind of a throwaway this week. And Trey Turner is still a huge disappointment, but just a nice gallery of contests this week, and nice rush of dopamine to look at that.
There we go. You made a good point with the 2 relief appearances, right? You hit it with Topa. He had 2 appearances, just not quite the appearances that you needed.
Right.
I was able to get that with one of them this week. I got 43 points out of Hunter Harvey on the Nationals. So unfortunately, that wasn't a very high priority lineup for me. If I would have put him into the rare All-Star, that would have made me put me in a really nice spot in rare All-Star. I still have a shot at it with Nick Martinez. Hopefully he can get into the game for San Diego, but he's putting up a 0 for me right now. And I'm sitting at a tier 5 in that rare. So,
and Nick Martinez, he frequently goes multiple innings, right? And I think that's another thing to take a look at too. This is going to continue. Oops, didn't mean to do that. This is going to continue to be one of the conversations that we have on this show, which is relief pitching. And I think that there's more to it that meets the eye, especially in the potential 4 game weeks. Those are the spots where you really have the upside to get 2, maybe even 3 appearances of a guy that is a high volume guy on a given team.
Absolutely. Like, who goes to the bullpen the most that you can think of? I mean, when are those, relief situations going to be needed? I mean, I've used guys like Sionel Perez before as a guy that can get multiple appearances. Carl Edwards Jr. has been one of my guys. So I think of those types of players. Like, I'm sitting right here. There is one lineup that I have that's looking pretty nice. I'm all dialed in on it, so no more. I got a 66 from Morel. Again, just an insane game week. But I'm in 12th place in the limited all-star. So top 80 get limited tier 2. So that was actually my second prioritized lineup, and it basically tripled the score of my limited pro top priority lineup. So the rainout in New York kind of was bad, and then I had Vladdy in there, Varsho. Yeah, hit or miss, man. But let's do a look into game week 16 before we bring on Clamp 1 here. So Clamp's going to come on. He's going to tell us about his experience with Sorare so far. It's going to be awesome. One of the top managers in Sorare. So we're excited to have him on and pick his brain just a little bit. But let's take a look into game week 16. And what are some guys on your radar, Nate? What are some guys? Throw them in the chats too. Let me know what you guys have. I like DJ Local right here. Bielik and Weathers are for relief pitcher guys are good, but Weathers is actually making a start, and I think Bielik is also this week. So I think it's about time that they brought Weathers back in that San Diego rotation. So I backed him a little bit.
To answer your question, I mean, I think that the kind of headline of game week 16 is that we have an abnormal number of teams with 4 games. I think there's 14 of them. I don't have them all listed. I think you might have them on, or yeah, you have them right here. So we've got Seattle, Oakland, San Francisco, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Philly, Detroit, the White Sox, Colorado, Miami, Tampa Bay, Toronto, St. Louis, Cincinnati, all with 4 game weeks. So a lot of options, both expensive and cheap, to get that higher volume of games, which, goes without explaining why that's important. So I think that's huge. And, there's some obvious ones. Philly versus Arizona is pretty appealing, as well as being a 4 game week. Colorado versus Miami, I think, is a nice cheaper side of things. I think that there's definitely still ways to cash in these tournaments with sub $100 lineups, which it's important to note that, because most of the lineups we're looking at are individual cards are worth $100. So I still think that if you find those matchups like a Colorado versus Miami in Colorado, and then Toronto at Tampa Bay, Seattle versus Oakland, and St. Louis at Cincinnati, kind of round out my list there.
Yeah, there's some definite Moneyball type of options in there. A couple of the ones that I liked in terms of stacks were Seattle versus Oakland. Obviously, we're always going to look at that. We can even dive directly into Oakland's run differential a little bit later on, but I know Greg would be proud of us on that.
Yep.
Philly versus Arizona for sure. They do not face Zach Gallen, so that's always nice. St. Louis at Cincinnati, they've been getting teed off of, and Cincinnati's a small ballpark, so
and Arenado is just going bananas right now.
Both of the Nolans.
Yep.
Gorman
Fair.
too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice 4-game stack that I'm looking at. And then a couple others too. KC versus Detroit. They have Erod, but other than that, no one big. Mm-hmm. And then Boston at the LA Angels with no Ohtani. So only 3 games, but those are teams that put up some big numbers.
Yep. I like it.
One of my favorite things to do is stream pitchers, and the giveaway at the end here, we'll do it after the second section, after Clamp comes on, after we talk about game week 17, but Cal Quantrill, it's a $2 pickup right now. So not doing a huge giveaway here, but it's against the White Sox. He puts together some quality starts, some real nice quality starts. Not a huge strikeout guy, but hopefully he can get you deep into a game. I like Stroman at $6. Braxton Garrett had a really nice game against the Giants this week. I think he was in the top 10 scoring pitchers, but he is at Coors, so you need to be careful. It's only a $3 card right now, and then Marco Gonzalez against Oakland too. So you looking at any guys to stream?
Haven't had the same amount of time to research this week as I typically have, so I'll rely on you for that one, and I'll have to do some research tonight while I'm watching Sunday Night Baseball.
There we go. Ty France and Teoscar. Diop for 85 says that's a nice one. Gino had a nice week too. I left him out of the lineup. Wish I would have kept him in there. It looks like Chapman's starting to come back around a little bit, which is great. Had a nice homer today. But yeah, so lots to come with a huge game week 16. Lots of teams playing 4 games. So shall we bring on Clamp?
Let's do it.
Awesome. I'm going to let Clamp, I'm letting you in here. Give us a second.
Hey.
All right. What's going on? Welcome in.
Going?
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. This is great.
Glad to have you here. We got your name's Kevin. I see.
It is. Yeah.
I think it shows up down at the bottom here. It should show up for the guests, but for all the guests out there, we're super excited to have you on here on the show. We've talked privately. I see you're rocking the Twins hat. I like it. You're a Twins fan. You're also a little bit of a Brewers fan. I joked around saying, man, I'm sorry, but I had to put Christopher Morel on the thumbnail, even though you were coming on the show. So
yeah, I mean, he's on a heater right now.
Yeah, he is. I like it. The hashtag beard, that might have to be the giveaway hashtag today.
Yeah. So I grew up in Milwaukee as a Brewers fan. I lived in Minneapolis for probably 15 years, and that's where I adopted the Twins. But I've since ended up in Boise, Idaho, which is where my wife grew up, and so we're here with family now. And the beard is kind of a shout to that. So I feel like I fit in a little bit better as a Midwesterner out here with the beard.
That's awesome.
It's a solid beard. It's a solid beard.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah, a few great places. Beautiful. Boise's beautiful. How is it that you got into Sorare? I'm curious. You want to kind of break it down for us a little bit?
So of all the sports, I would say I'm actually a basketball fan more than anything. I missed out on the Top Shot closed beta, and I probably would have been more in on that if I had been. And then when I saw Topps, when they did their first NFT release, it was probably April 2021, I think. I got in on that. And then from there, I did some of Candy and a lot more at Topps, both baseball and soccer. I've got some very nice Erling Haaland NFTs that are still kind of the pride of my NFT collection. But so, from there, certainly, having a pretty significant investment in Erling Haaland NFTs, I kind of kept an eye on the Sorare stuff. And as far as the soccer game goes, I'm not that into soccer. I do follow the Bundesliga and a little bit of Premier League and MLS, but to be honest, the Sorare soccer game kind of seems like a little bit more work than anything. Whereas once the baseball game came out, I was like, this is perfect. It's fun. If you know the game well, you can prospect and do all of that and see, hey, these are the guys that are underperforming. And it's such a very responsive market in a way that, like a lot of the NFT baseball cards aren't, where, if Christopher Morel starts hitting home runs, his top cards aren't going up that much. Whereas, they're doubling or tripling here, and you get that quick hit, and just kind of being able to do a little bit of money ball stuff has always been fun for me to figure out the undervalued guys. And so that's a big part of the fun for me with Sorare.
So it sounds like you're pretty active in your collection. Yeah. You're listing frequently, buying frequently, out there trying to,
for sure.
find
And that's
value and sell.
Yeah. And that's something I found, especially having had some experience with some of the other sports NFTs, was with anything like this, you're never going to time the market perfectly. And so if you only have one card, you can never know when the best time to sell it is or the best time to buy it. And so I tend to get, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 if I can, just to kind of scale in and scale out. And so I don't have to try and time the market right. And so for a guy where, I'm making a bet on him, like taking a leap, like Joe Ryan this year, and unfortunately with injuries, guys like Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen, guys like that, all off season, I just set alerts for when they were, under a certain price, and I just scoop them up. And, with pitchers, you figure some of those guys are going to hit, and the prices went up. And yeah, I've done a lot of trading of a lot of those guys. And so it's sometimes funny when I go look at my gallery, I'm like, oh, I've only got 2 Joe Ryans left. How did that happen? I sold out, but yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think your point about the reactive market is a great one. And it's something that I've personally been looking for all along. And it's exciting to have it, because you take those guys that are not necessarily going to move very much in a collector's market, right? Whether it's digital or physical, it's the same. But when you have this game that's tied to the on-field performance, you create that situation where a $5 card can become a $10 card pretty quickly. And that's fun, because now you've got every single player having relevance, from guy batting 8th on Milwaukee to guy batting 3rd in New York, and whatever it might be, they all have some type of relevance. And, Eric and I have fooled around with a lot of different strategies and lineups, and you can, like you said, you can play Moneyball and you can stack it with stars. And I just think it's a really unique game, and the market responds in a way that makes it really exciting and fun to be part of.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And it's, the way I've tried to explain it to new people that are coming in is that, the difference between like a TJ Friedel and, Vlad Guerrero isn't that, Vlad is so much of a better player. And so every week he's going to be that much better. That's not how it works. It's that Vlad is going to have so many more weeks where he's a valuable player for you. Whereas Friedel, it's got to be the right matchup, right? It's got to be, if he's at home and it's all righties, then that's great. But if it's not, you probably don't want to be playing him. So you're going to play him 1 out of every 5 or 6 weeks. Whereas Vlad, you're going to be able to play him every week, and you're going to get a lot more from him. But yeah, it's fun seeing that, and it's wild that there's 2 different games that we're playing. One is the kind of market game of, can I, buy this low and sell it high, and we saw that in the offseason a lot, in that, prices kind of reshuffled more towards a dynasty ranking than kind of what you see now, which is recent performance and kind of expected performance in the next few weeks. That's really all. It's not all that matters, but it's a lot of what drives prices, right? There's guys that, we would not expect to have a lot of value, in September or next year, even, that are going for more than maybe a younger player, a rookie that we, kind of have high expectations for, and you can probably play for the next 5 years, something like that, right? And then to see the way that the prices have shook out, in the middle of the season, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, a question that comes to mind for you, and I know, it's because you play limited I'm not sure if you're still playing limited, but I'm assuming you are limited all the way up to super rare, maybe even unique. I'm not sure if you're playing unique.
No unique. I'm in super rare. I don't have a ton of them, but it's a lot of limited and rare.
What do you see as the differences are in those types of competitions as you move up the rarity tiers? Like, is it more so of the dynasty aspect, even more when you get into the rare tiers? With the same players, is it tougher to earn? What's just generally your thoughts as somebody starting off in, common, moving up to limited, moving up to rare?
Right. I mean, honestly, I think, to some degree, I think limited is probably the hardest, just because there's a lot more people. There's, you're running into a lot more lineups and all of that. And so I think as you go higher up, it looks to me like folks are, kind of lean more towards safety, more towards the kind of the bigger names, the more predictable guys. And it's, for me, I mean, I kind of like to play the money ball game. I enjoyed playing with, Reds lefties that I could play, at home and things like that last season. And I've certainly grown my gallery now, where I've got the studs as well to kind of mix in there and do the same thing. But, it's a riskier game at super rare unique to be trying to do that with all of those guys, and to have a stable of 20 or 30 uniques to try and shuffle in there. I don't know if that's the best use of time or money. And if I start winning more and more, super rares, and it's certainly maybe something that I get into. But for now, I mean, I think the biggest difference, as far as what you're asking about, the biggest difference I think is that people tend to be a little bit more safe with their choices and who they're going with, which probably does open some opportunities if there is a guy that's not as that isn't in as many lineups and he blows up. I mean, even guys like Corey Seager right now, the Rangers guys that have blown up. If someone had a Ranger stack in Super Rare Pro or in Unique, they might be winning the week.
Yep.
The Ranger stack is working for me in limited this week, so I imagine that it would work at like you said, it just makes sense. It's just going to be a lower usage rate, and it's a really interesting dynamic, the way that they've created this hierarchy of contests and how they all work within each other. It's a really fun design.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I am just constantly impressed with how well they've done with this game, designing it, the scoring, the balance of the scoring, in that you're looking at probably 30 points for a good week from a reliever, from a starter, from a hitter, all of them, and it kind of leaves value with all of them, and so you kind of need to try and get all of those right, but also you can miss. I mean, we see lineups win all the time with a negative or a zero from one of their guys if all of your other guys hit. It's crazy how it works, and it's I think the success of the game in the long term is going to come down to the fact that this is a really fun game, and it's something that once you figure out how baseball works and kind of understand that stuff, anyone can play it and anyone can do well at it, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I think it's a funny thing that you mentioned here, that kind of where my brain goes to it, is that you can set a lineup with a zero and still get a win, right? Like, we've seen it happen a lot, which to me just means set every lineup possible. Like, how many times within the first 16 weeks of the season, Nate, because it's really Nate and I's first full season playing. Like, I only played commons last year. The gameplay was a little bit different. I always talk about how they improved upon it come NBA, come MLB this year for the commons to really get more people involved. But my thing is just now set every lineup that you can, because how many times over this past 16 weeks has one of our throwaway lineups, that we call it, yield us a nice limited card or yield us something that we didn't think, right? And that's super fun too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, and I'm one of the other Discord communities I'm in, that's Sorare First Pitch or Sorare FP. Guys in there will share their lineups a lot, and it's amusing how often someone's like, all right, this one's my priority, and then you get to the end of the game week and it's the other one that ended up doing better than the one you prioritize. It's just and that's baseball. That's how it works, right? So, and that's I think a lot of my success this season has been due to the fact that they expanded the number of competitions, adding the AL and NL, because I've got so many cards. I mean, it's not filler for me with my AL and NL teams. I mean, I'm still, I mostly just get to kind of mix and match. And so, all right, I got 2 Rangers here, and then I can put 2 Rangers there and mix them with some Orioles, and try different pairings and all of that. And so, yeah, it's pretty crazy though to see which lineups end up being the ones with a stinker in them and which ones end up blowing up.
Yeah.
Do you have any type of consistent strategy that you use when it comes to, like, let's just operate within limited, right? You've got, like you said, it's the situation where there's a whole lot of lineups in play. There's a lot of people using stacks. There's a lot of people using stacked lineups of stars. Do you use do you always put your stacks in one certain contest and all your studs in another? Do you have a process? If you don't mind divulging.
No, yeah, no, I'm happy. I mean, I've never been shy about kind of explaining how how I like to go about it, and it's, again, part of it is luck, and it's always going to be that. This is just a numbers game where you can make every right choice, and still a guy's going to go for 5, and there's nothing.
That's fantasy.
No, I mean, my process tends to be kind of working down. I'm looking at Rare Pro and my Super Rare All-Star team, and that tends to be where I prioritize to kind of try and get my best lineups. And then from there, I'm mixing and matching. And I obviously don't want the exact same lineup in, some of the limited ones. And so the process tends to be, looking at, all right, here's, I pick out the 5 or 6 matchups, or, kind of pairs or stacks or whatever, just whatever I like for that week. And just kind of figure out how to mix and match them to get the best lineups in the best spots. If I've got a choice between, if I can run the same lineup in a rare all-star versus a limited all-star, I'm going to try and get that one in rare, just because again, who knows what's going to happen, and it'll probably be the limited is the one that pops anyway. But that's how I go about it. I don't, there's times, especially early in the season, when I was looking at weather and I was saying, look, if these games might be canceled, I'm going to maybe put these guys in the lower priority, like at the NL lineup, if the Mets game is going to be canceled, just because I don't want to lose, lose that lineup entirely. And on the other hand, if they do play those games and I'm the only one that played them, we'll see what happened. Although after talking to folks, it sounded like everyone did that when there was those rainouts that everyone saw coming that one weekend. It looked like just once you saw the leaderboard, it was all the same teams that were coming up in the NL one. But yeah, it's not really too much of a specific strategy, I would say, that gets applied to it. It's mostly just looking at what my options are, who fits together where, and how to kind of trying to get Kyle Tucker and Jordan in one lineup and mix them with if there's another pair of guys that I like, setting them somewhere else, maybe having them with a couple Mets, in a different lineup, having them with a couple Orioles, something like that.
I like it.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Clamp. Hey, I wanted to ask you, and if there's anything that you want to talk about here before the segment's over, feel free to shout it out. But I was curious as if you can maybe give us a tip for, like a beginner tip and then a pro tip that you had in mind. And I want to pull this up too, because everybody who, I apologize if I didn't give much of a background here on you, but I wanted to pull up your Twitter page and show all these little, medals that you got up here. So you have 3 first place finishes, a second place finish, and 2 third place finishes. Amazing. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about those, and then throw in a tip for beginners and a tip for a little bit more advanced here and there.
Sure. Yeah. So, I kind of talked about my broader experience, but as far as actually getting into Sorare, I mean, I knew, looking at how the auctions work, not to kind of buy early on. And that tends to be how NFTs work too, is that, there's a huge price and then it goes down. And so I waited, and it was probably mid-August when I actually started buying, a lot of cards after I saw that they had turned down the rate on the auctions and that they were going to control the supply. So that's when I kind of got serious in it. My first place was, I think, a limited all-star, mid-September, something like that. And I just went back and looked at it because I wanted to see. And it's, despite how much I enjoy playing the value guys, and certainly there's a lot of lineups where I've done well, that one was like, it was like Vlad and Strider, and it was all studs in that lineup and it was limited, and so
it validates your buys. It's like, yeah, there we go. You made it worth it.
Yeah, but and a lot of my process, especially last year, when and I would say this is maybe kind of the beginner tip, is just how important, you guys talk about this, how important the matchups are, how important a 4-game week is, how important it is to, if you've got guys going at Colorado or at Cincinnati. And so that's, right now, because my gallery is so big, I'm doing a lot less of like focusing on, upcoming matchups, because I've got the guys already. I don't need to worry about it as much. But last year, that's what I was doing, was I was looking 3-4 weeks ahead and saying, all right, these are the ones I'm targeting. The Phillies are going to be in Colorado. The Diamondbacks had some big series in Colorado, things like that. Or, if a team was going to be in Cincinnati. And so I ended up with, my big thing is lefties. I love lefty hitters, just because it makes it so much more predictable. We talk a lot about stacks, and there's the kind of DFS element of, the way that kind of run, production happens when you've got guys stacked together. But I think the more important thing for Sorare is getting your good matchups at the same time. And so if you've got lefties on the same team and they're going to be facing all righties, that they're going to be playing and they've got a good matchup. And so that's as much or more important to me than just the kind of typical stack kind of consideration, is that I know if I've got, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and they've got all righties coming up, that's a good matchup for them. And so that helped a lot for me last year. I did in the World Series. I think I took 8th in one of the big ones, like one of the rare competitions. And it was because, I've got Jordan, I've got Tucker, I've got Schwarber, and I've got Harper, and those guys matched in the series. So, so that's the biggest thing for me, I think, when you're starting out, is figuring out the matchups and looking ahead at that, planning ahead, and whether it's to play those guys or to flip those guys, so that you can buy, more of a balanced team. I think it's a good thing to do. The other big thing I would say is just how important steals are in the game. We focus on home runs a lot, and that's obviously huge. But if you've got, the guys that can put up a 2020 season, that they can not hit a home run in a series and still give you a really, really good game week if they've got a steal or two to go along with, a couple doubles, a couple runs, a couple RBIs, and that carries them. So guys like Arozarena, Kyle Tucker is, I think he's wildly undervalued right now. Obviously we all know, some of the bigger ones, Acuna and all of that, but that's a place where I don't think people have focused as much on steals as, or at least guys that can put up steals along with power. I think it's a place where there's a lot of value still.
I think that's a really good note on steals, because it was something that I noticed when I was doing my research this offseason to start this for the very first time, was steals and also doubles. I took a look at that because it's the same point that you're making. Those are the two sub home run things that you can kind of count on. And there's a lot of guys that have consistent double numbers every year that are higher than others. A guy like Jose Ramirez should be mashing in this contest. He hasn't had a great start to the season. But yeah, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, Kyle Tucker, to your point, all guys that were on my radar because of those steals being part of that power game. And it just gives you more routes to a respectable performance that doesn't hurt you in a game week.
Yeah, for sure.
Some buy low opportunities too. Guys who will have those types of seasons who aren't quite producing right now. You think the first guy you think of there is Julio Rodriguez, that you can get him on auction for, or even on the secondary market for $60 as a limited right now. And look, you're never going to have to worry about selling that card later on. I think he's going to be a pretty good player for most of his career, from what I think we could all agree with that. So, there's good times to buy. And I think that's one of the cool things about getting in, is that if you're planning on playing for a long time, you can use that Julio card. Maybe they change the rules and go rare only next year, but you never know. Hopefully you can still use that limited card in a rare contest, in a rare all-star contest type of thing. And, and that's just something that you're going to be able to hold on to. So.
For sure.
Cool. Anything else you want to send us off?
No, not one thing for sure. I could talk forever about this stuff. So I appreciate you guys having me on. I love the work that you guys are doing. It's, when I started out, there just wasn't a lot of content. And it's so great to see folks talking about this stuff and getting it out there. And hopefully we'll see the community grow. It's great to see.
We'll have to have you back sometime in the season. You know, we know you're on Discord too, and we appreciate you jumping into the Discord and throwing your tips in here and there. So if you're out there listening to this and you're not on Discord, jump into the NFTY Sports Discord. Come talk some Sorare during the week. Clamps in there with some nice tips, some best buys. He was helping out a beginner earlier this week with a couple of his top favorite guys under like $5. So appreciate everything that you do and appreciate everything. You know, appreciate you taking the time for coming on today. It's been awesome having you.
I'm happy to. And again, you know, I mean, there were folks when I was trying to figure out, you know, MLB, I talked to some of the soccer folks and like, hey, how does this stuff work? And that's one of the great things, the community, the folks that have been kind of welcoming and willing to share kind of what they know. And I'm happy to pay that forward. So if I can help in any way, I'm happy to.
Amazing. Miguel. Yeah. We all appreciate it. Thanks, Clamp.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
See you next time.
Good luck, everybody.
Bye.
Great segment.
That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. We'll have to have more managers on here.
Yep, 100%.
And have Clamp back on one of these days too.
Absolutely.
It's cool to see what he's done. Always super helpful in the Discord and open about his strategies. It's cool that, you know, there's not a ton of gatekeeping. Like you said, you know, you can have your strategies, but the guys still got to put up the numbers, right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's a really fun, this is everything that is fun about being a baseball nerd all packed into one, right? It's the duration of these contests. We've talked about it before. I just think it's the perfect snapshot of executing on these matchups, whether it's the team matchups, the lefty righty. It might not play out in a single game when you're banking on it for DFS on DraftKings or FanDuel, but when it comes to Sorare, there's just a much better chance that it's going to play out if you get it right. So it's a lot of good conversation when it comes to being a baseball nerd with the Sorare contests.
For sure. Great tips. I agree. Let's jump into game week 17. Not trying to ignore any comments here or anything like that, but I honestly think that the fact that he has 770 cards is kind of irrelevant. Who are we to say what kind of gallery that he could put together? I wish that I had 770 cards to play. So you got to get up on the podium somehow. If you get in at a good time, good for you. If you got resources to spend, good for you. Gives a lot back to the community. That's all I'll say on that.
And it's also the kind of thing where if you are planning on being here for a while, and if Sorare continues to execute, we're in a situation where creating that gallery, stacking that gallery is a long-term investment. And it's something that you're going to work your way back, having wins, having prizes, having rewards. It's something that you're digging into. And, you know, it just becomes a lot more fun when you have that many cards available to you.
For sure. I mean, I think one of the things that I've always liked about Sorare is that you don't have to spend a ton to be competitive, right? Like it's not a constant spend. You can build slowly. You know, like I'm at a point where I'm not spending a ton anymore. Yes, I am making a couple new acquisitions, a couple new buys here and there for the long term, a couple of streaming starts that I'm not going to be getting rid of. And, you know, it could be just 2 cards that I buy on the week is the make or break to yield me like 5 more cards over the next 2 weeks. So, you know, it's like I'm going to have 4 or 5 rewards coming in this season or this game week, you know, to be able to add, to be able to trade, to be able to, you know, sell and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'll keep on doing it. So it's super fun.
Yep. I'm with you.
All right, let's take a look into the game week 17. And of course, a giveaway after Cal Quantrill. Let me see here. What do we got for game week 17? Anybody jump out to you? I have some streaming pitchers. And I will say this, a streaming pitcher, these are the guys that I just don't end up getting rid of. Like some of these guys that you find out as streamers early on, like they just become go-to guys. Like a guy for me, like John Gray, right? Like he was kind of a streaming guy. He's at $5 right now, but like he continues to put up solid performances.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we've talked about. I think we both got Erod around. Well, I got Erod around $7. I think you were a little early. You were the one that turned me on to that. He's become a consistent contributor. His last start was a dud, but he's been great this year. Chris Sale. Boy, is Chris Sale look good right now. Grabbed him for $8 a few weeks ago, thinking there'd be some spots to use him. But yeah, there's lots of guys you get at that $5 to $8 range that all of a sudden can become a very relevant piece in your gallery.
A couple others that I got, get the discount right now. Domingo Germán for $4. He's suspended, but he's going to be back in 10 games, and he's got a nice matchup coming up. He's been pitching really well this season. We'll see if he can do it without any little special help, but I think he'll be all right.
He was unfortunately my tier 3 reward last week. Would have liked maybe like an Aaron Nola instead, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, the tiers we looked at last week, we'll revisit those sometime in the future. But yeah, there's a lot of disparity within the tiers. I won a tier 2 last week, and it was a Brent Rooker. Sold it for $17. Not bad.
Yeah, I will say, and I forget off the top of my head, I apologize. Who I was talking with somebody was schooling me in the NFTY Discord, but I guess maybe it was Clamp. I don't even remember, but I was making the incorrect assumption that if you fall into that tier 2 bucket, that tier 3 bucket, that those 20 managers or 60 managers or whatever that range is in that bucket are they're going to throw a bunch of tier 2s and then randomly assign them. But apparently it is based on your rank. So coming in 5th place in the AL only and grabbing a tier 2 is going to net you a better card than coming in 24th place and getting a tier 2. So I hadn't realized that, but it makes sense. It's probably the better way to go about that.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, Sorare, I don't think states that explicitly anywhere. There's always going to be a little bit of variability, but I think that is, that's a good point. I think Clamp was the one that put that out there too. What else do we got going here? A couple of the stacks for game week 17. New York Mets are going to be in Colorado, guys. I mean, Pete Alonso leads the league in homers, 17 so far. I also like Boston at Arizona. They get Morel Kelly, no Zach Gallen. Houston at Oakland.
Mm-hmm. My two, I always like to throw in a couple cheaper ones, speculative, the money ball versions, but the Cubs versus Cincinnati, something worth looking at, and Kansas City versus Washington, another one. You could look at guys like Witt, Melendez, who is it, Prado, and Salvi. So
there we go. Salvi's been really good for me. DJ local, Nationals.
Yeah, you could take the other side of that too. Nationals, that series in general, something worth looking at for sure.
Yeah, some of these lower tier teams are just looking fun, man. Like some of them are fun to watch. Some of them are starting to hit. The Nationals are definitely one of them. Somebody threw out there Lane Thomas, picked up. He's playing good. Newt Bar is playing well. I mean, he's not cheap by any means, but Newt Bar had a great series in Boston. What else we got? Let's see here. Let's take a look at the standings here. I know this is randomly thrown in compared to what we usually do, but the A's down there at negative 166.
I think so. I've used this along the way, but I think that looking at baseball standings and it's not quite as significant as it was, last year with having the divisional play decreased by, a third, but looking at, say an Arizona or the Giants, right? You're going to get cheaper guys than the Dodgers or the Padres, but you're going to get an abnormal amount of series against Colorado, which is great no matter what, but even better at Colorado. And same thing can be said for other divisions. Look at the Cardinals, right? You're going to get a lot of games against the Reds. You're going to get a lot of games against the Pirates, who have come back down to earth. Having a couple teams within a given division that, same thing with the NL East. You've got the Nationals, the Marlins, that you can take a look at these divisions and know that you're going to get a disproportionate amount of those matchups that are going to be on the plus side, even if they're not a 10 out of 10. it's something that's worth looking at. And look at Texas; they're going to get more serious against Oakland, and they're going to eat.
Basically, every single division you can chalk that up except for the AL East.
Yep, for sure.
And the Orioles just swept the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are now at the very bottom of that division. Unreal. Like, that's awesome to see. Not for my team standings, but of course, Drew NFT Tyro Estrada is very good. He's my guy. He's been fun to watch. I actually got him as a common reward last week. As a common tier 2. I think I have a Wilmer Flores in there too, so a little mini stack type of thing. But what happened to Devers? Let me see here. Hud's dog in the chat. What's going on? Should we do a live check-in?
Did you get pulled, or just don't tell me you got hurt? That's all I really care about.
Yeah, let's do a live check-in, and let's get the giveaway running right now. Let's get a hashtag Cal for the Cal Quantrill. He's pitching against Chicago.
Let's see. Pulling up the actual game here.
That's a great off-season buy. I'm like kicking myself for not getting Tyro Estrada in the off-season. Let me see here. Throw it in the chat. Hashtag Cal. I'll pull up the giveaway screen. And then we'll jump into some candy. We'll look at some code breakers.
I know what he's saying. It looks like Devers just had his last, possible attempt at, catapulting me forward, and he struck out in the 9th. So probably does it for me there. Hopefully hold on to tier 2, which seems pretty likely at this point. It'll be the second time that I just missed the podium. I think my NL stack of the Diamondbacks a couple weeks ago, I ended up with 5th place, and you got to be top 3 to get that tier 1.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Still hurts a little.
It does, dude. I mean, well, hopefully you screenshot it up at the top. I always say you got to just screenshot at the top and then hope that it holds. And it's also never too early for a stop the count tweet. I did that 3 hours into the game week this week when I was up at number 1. I was like, stop the count 3 hours in. Let's go. I'm in first. We have 17 entries. We'll give you there's a little bit more than that in the chat here. So we'll give you 30 more seconds, and then I'll run this giveaway here. And then we'll jump into some candy. And remember, guys, we're doing 2 in-stream giveaways for team packs. You win it, you get to pick your own team. Shout out to Candy. A big thank you for providing those packs. You can use those in the code breaker challenges that we'll be chatting about just a little bit here. DJ Local needs a good game from Alonso. A good game from Alonso would be awesome. Would love to see that. Okay, 18. Let's go ahead and pick the winner.
Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. No. Come on. Again, the cool winners. He's gonna have literally, I don't know how this happens. Well, I guess 1 in 18 odds. There's been crazier things that have happened.
That's still a pretty impressive run.
I know. Congratulations to cool winners. Unbelievable. If you've been in here in the chats, cool winners has won a couple. So I don't pick the winners. It's randomized. So cool winners wants us to respin. Are you sure? All right. If you insist. That's a nice move on cool winners' part.
Running it back.
Should we run it back? All right. Everyone shout out thanks to cool winners. Should we do a new draw? Do hashtag I was gonna say hashtag cool winners.
I'd say just roll it again.
Roll it again. Here we go.
Cool winners takes this one. It's meant to be.
What if I win this one? I think I put my name in there. DJ Local. There we go.
Congrats,
DJ. Cool winners, a gent. Appreciate it. That's awesome. All right. Let's talk some candy real quick and a couple more giveaways to go. Sorry, FC Porto player. You'll get in on the next one, man. We'll do a giveaway next time too, for sure. Let me see here. What should we go in and take a look at? Code breaker challenges. All right. How up to date are you on these code breakers? I know the Talking Candy Discord is for sure.
Yeah, the Talking Candy Discord definitely is. I definitely am not I've been away most of this week. I was at VCon and haven't kept tabs even on the Discord itself like the way that I usually do. So unfortunately don't have a ton to contribute other than I continue to see the conversation growing and some strategies developing with making some predictions and some speculation.
For sure. There's a couple of them that are starting up on Tuesday. So you get these cards, you're going to want to play them in the Code Breakers Challenge. Obviously, the point is to get them sooner than everybody else because the rewards are just a little bit better on that front. So,
and it's every Tuesday and Thursday, I believe.
There we go. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I saw some speculation already in the Talking Candy Discord on this one right here, starting off with a bang, thinking maybe rookies. I don't know if Morel even has a card in the team pack or
That's
not.
a good question.
But he's definitely started off with a bang. A couple of other rookies, maybe throw them out there. I mean, technically rookie, Josh Young has had a good start to the year. Who else comes to mind? Ruiz in Oakland. Having a heck of a season. I think he's got 22 stolen bags already, which is just
crazy,
absurd.
Crazy.
Somebody had him in my fantasy baseball league. They dropped him. He wasn't stealing any bags for some reason, and then I picked him up, and he just gets 2 bags a game.
Yeah, he's a category winner all on his own.
So fun. Oh yeah, of course, Outman. How can you forget that guy? Corbin Carroll, of course. Yep. Beginner's luck. AL Central, don't know what that would be. A couple of the ones that are still active and live, I think, call for former MVPs. Mike Trout was in there for sure. Ohtani was in there. Miguel Cabrera was in there. Gorman, I guess, is a rookie, huh? I forgot that he's technically a rookie this year. Gorman, a good one too. Let me see here. Get into the game. Let's do throw in the chat hashtag codes, hashtag CODES. And then we'll draw 2 winners here in just a couple of minutes, figure out who's getting these team packs. I've got some sweet team packs. I had a lot of fun like ripping these open, actually. Not many of them have sold. Haven't had a ton of time to attend to it. But I mean, the cards are super cool looking. We've already talked about.
It's worth noting that even if you don't have the right cards for a given, challenge, a given question, that just putting in the first of your 3 guesses gets you 5 points. It's 15 points if you get it right, but just throwing any 4 cards in there and clicking submit will get you 5 points towards the current month campaign. So I've at least been trying to do that. Even though I don't have a big collection of the actual cards that are being used for this.
Nice. That's a good point. I did not know that. This one right here. So who are the last 4 number 1 draft picks to make the majors in chronological order by draft year? Who's in our team packs? This must be a tough one. This must be a really hard code to crack, huh?
It seems like it. Like I said, I'm just not a trivia guy.
Yeah. I don't think Julio was a number 1 pick, but let's try to throw in some younger guys anyways. Who could have been a number 1 pick? Conforto?
Could have been.
Conforto was up there. Is he a number 1? Trout? No.
Scrolling through. So this must have released on Thursday, right? Scrolling through the Discord, right? Talking Candy Discord to see.
Yeah, check it out. Oh, Royce Lewis. Here we go. Drew NFTs is in here. Is Gary Sanchez on the Mets now? Oof. I know he was on the Giants. I know he was on the Giants for a little bit. We must have got rid of him. Rutschman, Torkelson, Royce Lewis. Yep. Drew's on it. Yeah, I don't have any of those guys. I'm going to throw in a couple guys that are legit. See if we can get them in there as just a guess. Hit submit, and then we can go on into, there we go. Strike one. I got 5 points.
Here's your 5 points.
All 4 incorrect. Let's pick some winners.
Let's do it. I want to see what teams people pick.
Yeah, me too. Let me see here. Go back to do a fresh giveaway. Hashtag codes. 8 entries. Who else is in there? We got some more people in there. Pipe them in. Perfect Chicken in with an entry. FC Porto player got this one in. 9 entries. We got 13 people watching. Type it in the chat. All right. And we're coming up within 2 minutes of the Monday night game. Who you thinking?
I don't know. Do we have Greg's submission?
We'll have to text him.
Yep. This is a tough one. It's a tough one. This is probably the closest to a coin flip in terms of, obviously the Mets are probably favored by a bit here, but either team could win this one for sure.
Ooh,
Bieber versus Verlander.
Bieber Verlander.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a nice game.
That is a nice game. Wow. Give me the Guardians.
I kind of want to too. Bieber's been a little better than Verlander. Guardians are no slouch of a team.
Give me the Guardians.
They're at home, and they got Pete Alonso.
I'm going with the Guardians. All right, let's draw these winners. Hashtag codes. Shout out Candy. Let's see who we got. We'll take 2 winners here, and then we're doing 3 additional winners on Twitter. So 3 more people will win. Investor Better, congratulations. Type it in the chat. Shoot us a DM on the Discord or on Twitter. Let us know who your favorite team is, and then we'll get everything set up where we get you your team pack. 1 more for the road.
Jim.
There we go, Jim.
Congrats. Good stuff.
Who's Jim's team?
The Jimp in
the
Discord.
Mets.
What's that?
He's a Mets guy, yeah?
I'm not sure who his team is, but super active in both Discords. Big Candy guy, big Sorare guy, plays our Talking Candy Roto Royale that we've been playing with our candy cards.
There we go.
There we go. You called it. It's the Mets.
LFGM. I think he's got a Keith Hernandez profile pic. That's how I knew it.
Yep.
There we go. Nice. You love to see it. Congrats, Jim. Congrats, Investor Better. Let me see here.
I was leaning Guardians too, but I'm just gonna go against you for the sake of going against you, and I'm gonna take the Mets.
I think I'm crushing you guys.
You are. That's why I'm going the other way.
I think I've only missed one of them. Like, it's pure luck, obviously, but
hey, you're getting them right.
Yeah. The broom paid off. I forgot about the broom.
Oh, that was a brutal series. The Sox could be in second place right now, I think, if they had taken care of business there.
They're still in it, man. They're still in it. You guys have a new pitcher coming up this week, right? Or I mean, a reliever. Is it Paxton or something like that? Who's
well, James Paxton is back. He's been up. I think he pitched well. I want to say he started the other day. We've got so many starters. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the fact that it's actually a problem and it's not, I don't think it's as big a problem. Like Pavetta has been pretty rough. But it seems that Cora has been pretty unwilling to lean into a final decision here. But there's a lot of talent there. Houck, Whitlock will be coming back from injury. Brian Bayo has been pitching really well up from AAA. So there's a lot to like there, and hopefully that we can find the right 5.
There we go. All right. Well, we'll send it off. TBD on next week, you guys. It is Memorial Day week. So hope you have a great week this week. Good luck in game week 16 and 17. We may have a special pre-recorded episode due to some travel stuff with the guys here. But regardless, same time, same place next week, you'll have something. You might not get us live, but we'll have some sort of content out. So appreciate you all being here for a great episode. Thanks again to all you guys in the chat, and to Clamp One for coming on and just chatting with us. We'll have some more Sorare managers come on and share their stories. I thought it was super fun to, share the stage with some people out there who have, been in the game for a little bit now. So
Sure.
We will see you on the next one. And again, good luck game week 16 and 17. Thanks again to Candy for those packs. And don't forget to play Code Breakers.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
See you later.